into a business.
Talent is preeminent.
Get first-hand success stories from seasoned entrepreneurs only on Build Your Own Business.
This is Build Your Own Business. Powered
by Oze. Make money with Oze.
Welcome to today's edition of Build Your Own Business, brought to you by Oze. I am Wale Famirewa. Welcome to the show as we talk to accomplished entrepreneurs, and as they provide valuable advice to you, you can move on to be as successful as they have been. Now, today we are changing things up a little bit as we bring someone that I can describe as a business doctor, given her the array of experience she's had with small businesses. She will be providing useful advice and learning points for you to take away as you build your own business. All right, so before we get started, as usual, here's a brief bio of our guest, and when we come back, we'll get right into it.
Gwen Abiola-Oloke is a cross-sector, multi-faceted executive with over 27 years experience in banking and development, finance working across Francophone and Anglophone West Africa. After a successful banking career, culminating as a bank CEO of a Pan-African bank in the Republic of Benin, she joined GroFin as Regional Investment Director to drive SME development in West Africa and managed 5 funds focused on high-impact sectors including agribusiness, power, healthcare, education, light manufacturing, key services, and lead the Gender Lens Investing Initiative. She has built expertise in business strategy, startups and business transformation, global partnerships, business development, fundraising, gender advocacy, and foreign direct investment facilitation. Managing key relationships of 17 southern states and some federal government portfolios in Nigeria, as well as hundreds of private sector portfolio clients in Nigeria, Republic of Benin, Ghana, Senegal, and Cote D'Ivoire. Gwen has served on federal committees in Nigeria and the Republic of Benin, as well as various company boards in West Africa. She serves on the judging panel of the Shell International Livewire Top 10 Innovators Award, served on various ecosystem advisory committees, including USAID Global Food Security Strategy for Nigeria in 2017 and Aspen Network of Development Entrepreneurs, West Africa. She's also a USA accredited SME consultant. Ladies and gentlemen, we present Gwen Abiola-Oloke.
All right, let's get started with our conversation with Gwen Abiola-Oloke, who would be providing valuable advice to entrepreneurs. Gwen, it's a pleasure to have you on the show today. So let's get right into it. And I want to think of you as an advisor, a counselor to businesses today. So I guess the good place to start is, from your experience, what are the essentials of successful business planning? What do you think entrepreneurs must know to get it right as they build their businesses?
All right, thank you very much for inviting me. Just by introduction, I'm Gwen Abiola-Oloke. I'm founder of an advisory firm, DI Africa. Prior to now, I've done about 24 years in banking and retired from banking as a bank CEO outside Nigeria in Benin Republic. And did impact investing for about 5 years with a company called GroFin, and then subsequently set up my firm. So I've been working with SMEs for over 24 years or 30 years now. So back to your question, thank you very much for inviting me to this session. It's something I love doing. So really, for entrepreneurs starting their business, really starting a business is not very easy, but truly it's a good thing to do. First of all, there needs to be a reason for that business. What is the problem that business is starting? It's not just about having an idea about the business. Can the idea really solve a problem? Is there a gap in the market? And then you identify a proposition, a product or a service that can fit that gap. Then you identify the customers. Who are you targeting? You cannot be everything to everybody. So you must have your niche. And in determining your niche, you must look at your resources, your capacity. You may be, your proposition may be useful for the whole of the nation, but at the point you're starting, do you have the resources to reach that market? So you must look at your capacity and resources, before you even begin to define that target market in terms of geography and space. Then you must have a strategy to really target your market. You must have a differentiation. You are not a monopoly in that business. So what makes you stand apart? What makes you different? And I want to say something here. The COVID has taught us that there are new normals to things. You can actually start a business by collaborating. It's not all the time that you'll be a standalone. So entering a market, do you want to enter and compete, or do you want to enter and collaborate even with a competitor? So these are some things that then you must be thinking that having the end in mind. You need capital for that business. You could be starting with your own capital or with friends and family, but you must know that external capital at some point will be useful. So formalization of your business. Even if you start small and informal, you must think of the end. You will at some point grow to a point where external capital is required. So you must formalize your business, keep your records, start small, but think big, act fast. So these are there's so many things, but I'm just giving some very high level basic things that are very important.
No doubt, I can imagine. You've been doing this for a while. There's so much I'm sure you can share, but thanks so much for providing at least those basics. And I think I really like the point about collaboration. You really don't always have to start it by yourself. But clearly, the business landscape is evolving. Over the years, we've seen technology really change the game. The word disruption become a thing. And in that landscape, I wanted to hear your thoughts about skills. So what, in your view, are those essential skills as you look at the marketplace today that you think entrepreneurs need to have if they are going to succeed in the world today?
Thank you very much. So basically, the traditional skills, are still there. Know your market, be passionate about what you're doing, understand your business and all of that. But today we see that it's a global village, and of course, the pandemic has shown that there are so many ways of really leapfrogging in this business. So digital skills are so important. We all talk about digital skills, but you need to transfer some conventional skills into that digital space. So first of all, communication. How do you communicate even as a business, even before you go digital? You need to be able to be succinct in how you sell your product. Be very direct in how you make your proposition. Don't be ambiguous in your language, So the communication skills is so important because it's no longer a person-to-person interface. It's a digital interface. So your product should be able to speak for itself, in the platform. And then you must be able to understand the market, the space. What are the digital tools that are available right there? So research and research. Learn and unlearn, A lot of us say we are not digitally inclined and all of that. Well, unfortunately, we are all plunged into the system. So you need to learn and unlearn ways of doing this business. If you used to do door-to-door, you find that you can complement that, by really accessing the entire landscape and accessing the world, the entire market, on a digital platform. Right. Now, understanding how you sell digitally also is very important. How you associate your brand, which channels do you use? Because that also depends on the market that you're focusing on. Then your personal branding. You as an entrepreneur, people buy your product, people like your company, they want to see the face behind the company. Even for big multinationals, you see how they brand their CEOs and their leadership team, because the personal branding is so important. So you as a business entrepreneur, how do you brand yourself? Before you even talk about branding, what is your integrity? What's your market equity as an entrepreneur? So communication is important. Communicating your personal brand, your company brand, your product brand, all of that is important. The digital tools that you use, understanding all of that is important as well.
That is also good. And I'm sure many of our listeners today are taking notes on all the things that you're sharing. But I want to get into something else, which I think is also very important and relevant in today's business, and that is impact. Can you just speak to the value of thinking about the impact your business is looking to make as opposed to just the profit motive? Why is that important today? And where do we see impact aligning with a person's individual goals and then, of course, the stakeholders that are involved in that business, including financiers, of course?
Yeah, so thank you very much. Really, you can tell that the world is becoming more socially responsible. So whether you're a small business or you're a large business, you must align with that. And one of the things that United Nations has done is to create the 7 SDG goals, okay? So the Sustainable Development Goals. So impact is really about making profit and, supporting the society, also doing good. Even if you're a small business, you're a bakery, or you're a food seller, you must factor impact into your business. Sources of finance also are not looking at only your profits. They want to see how is your business impacting the society. Are you degrading the environment, or are you improving on the environment? Are you supporting social values, or are you degrading social values? So impact is something that is embedded in our society. It's embedded in the way we do business. And really, that is what determines the sustainability of your business. If you do not factor impact as a small or big business right from the start, you find that perhaps your stakeholders begin to resent your presence in that environment because you are extracting rather than complementing what is in the environment. So impact is something that we can avoid at this point in time, especially as you grow. If you want to collaborate, you want to enter supply chains, all these frameworks are in place right now, and you just have to make your businesses align.
Awesome, thank you for that. Okay, so very often it's said that cash is the lifeblood of a business, and to get that cash, very often you have to make a pitch. So what, in your view, are the essentials of a good pitch as a business that is trying to take off, or perhaps has already taken off but needs more capital?
Yeah, this is a very good question, and you can take me 30 hours to talk about this question.
Imagine.
So it's not really about the capital all the time, but the kind of capital that businesses get. Some businesses have been killed because they got the wrong kind of capital. Cash is the oxygen of the business. Even before you go getting external capital, managing your cash flow is so important. Some small businesses focus more on the profits. And then sometimes, or even on us, you can send some of them really over, keep the overstock in their inventory because they say, oh, prices are going to go up, really. So that management of the cash flow, even before you go sourcing external financing, is the first way, to begin to manage your cash flow and to ensure that your business stays alive. Now, when you decide that you're going to get external capital, you must be prepared, okay? So you must have a good proposition, understand your financials, understand your numbers, understand your business, present a document that tells the history of your company financially and quantitatively. So really the banks or the investors really can tell the story of your business by how the financials of your business are presented. So all the records keeping, financials, your governance and all of those things really need to be on the document that really can express the growth and the potential, in that business.
Let's get to this business environment called Nigeria. Some will say it is tough. In fact, some will say it is hard. Some will say it's impossible. But I imagine that having done this for a while, you may have learned a couple of things that are valuable in terms of how you can be successful here in Nigeria. So what can you tell us that can improve the odds of success in a market like Nigeria?
Yeah, it's a high risk, high returns. Nigeria has one of the highest returns in business and highest level of opportunities. But really, I would say that, ease of doing business has improved, in the last few years. And there are documents to show that. But that doesn't mean that the challenges are not still there. We are struggling with so many macroeconomic issues, hostile environment and all that. So really, to be able to survive in an ever-changing, very high risk, market. It's a market with low infrastructure as well. The market with, lack of data. Really, it's not really about Nigeria, but this is something that pivots most emerging markets. So really, you need to be very resilient, frankly, very, very resilient in doing business here. So I assume that the business already understands what they want to do. They have a product, they're going, they're not just starting. So you need to be very resilient because things will come against your plans, things will come against your activities and things that you've set out to do really very, very seriously. So resilience is important, networking is important, collaboration is very important. because in that network and collaboration, you can share risk, you can get information, and reduce your cost of operations as well. So shared services also is something that I will encourage entrepreneurs to begin to do. And I think that some of the businesses in agri-processing, small scale businesses, they've started working around that. That's to reduce the cost of operations because we have low infrastructure, high cost of doing business, So one way of reducing your cost of production and becoming more efficient is sharing some of these services, like assets. A group of entrepreneurs in the same business can come together and buy assets. So that's the collaboration we are talking about. So we need to rethink how we do business, how we collaborate to do business, how resilient are we, how we can be proactive. Never say no, never give up. It's tough, but there are opportunities for growth.
You mentioned resilience as a key factor there, but how do you build resilience practically into your business? What are the things that you think or actions that we can take practically that can help with that?
So really, something is about relearning your environment. When you happen into a circumstance or a risk exposure, you build your business to be able to overcome that challenge. So building, will I say, roadblocks, building structures that help you to overcome challenges helps that business to be resilient. So I give you a typical example. If you've had a situation where there's an FX, a foreign exchange affecting your business, you begin to think new ways, how you can mitigate that risk. So really understanding the risk in that business is so key. So key in helping to build resilience around your business. So I think that's basically one way, understanding the risk in the business and how to mitigate the risk in the business. What are the easy ways, low-hanging fruits that you can use, to mitigate those risks in the business?
And I'm sure partnership and diversification can help as well. But let's talk a bit about mentorship. Can you just speak to practical ways to get the most out of a mentor? Earlier, you mentioned collaboration and partnership, but I imagine mentorship is also quite valuable to being successful in business.
Not only in business, and even in life, mentorship, I am a strong proponent for mentorship, So really, being in a network helps you to find the right mentor. Having a mentor mismatch can be very futile. So seek out a mentor. It doesn't matter how experienced you are in that business. There's somebody who has gone through that path. So mentorship is about accelerating your growth, helping you avoid mistakes that others have made. So it's very important. Some people think that because they are experts in their business, they are top 3 in the business, they still don't need mentors. You need mentors as an entrepreneur and as a business owner. So getting the right mentor is understanding what are your objectives, what do you want to achieve? And if you are not in networks, if you do not access those networks and build, a currency around that network, emotional currency around that network, you cannot go to someone for a mentorship. So you as a mentee, you need to seek the mentor, and be clear what goals you want to achieve. Be sure that that mentor can achieve those goals. Let there be expectations, understanding of your expectations between both parties, and agree a structure, how you want to. The mentor could be your spouse, but when it comes to that mentorship relationship, it has to be very structured and formalized. Otherwise, you will not get the best out of it.
Interesting point. I really like the usage of the emotional currency, a way to buy, if you like, the commitment of that person that you hope to mentor you. Well said. I want you to comment briefly on funding, the type of funding sources that are available to small businesses and how they can prepare to access those opportunities.
Yeah, so I say funding mismatch is like wearing the shoes that don't fit. So it's so important. The stage of your business determines the kind of funding that you require. A lot of times people are looking at the wrong places for funding, and then sometimes we get the wrong funding. So you get the capital, but the capital snuffs life out of that business. So as an early stage business, you're not looking for commercial capital. You should be looking for capital that is, will I say, patient, friends and family, people who will not hold you. They will hold you to some accountability, but at least because at this point in time, your business is not making so much money. So when you get to a growth stage, when you've tested the business and there's some sustainable profitability, then you can begin to look at, external kind of capital, commercial kind of capital. Grants are also a very good way for businesses to look at, funding. It could be technical grants, it could be cash grants, private equity. So really looking at the entire value chain of businesses, of financial investors, you determine what kind of funding you require at each stage of your business. One thing I will add, at the point where your business is at mature stage, so some SMEs, they've done so well and they want to increase their funding. It may not be capital that you require at that time. It may be an acquisition, a collaboration, or a merger. That could be another kind of funding, okay? So we must be looking at very unconventional ways of how we can raise capital for our businesses. One practical advice I would say to people is, please begin to understand the conditions of the potential investors you want to approach. So for example, you want to go to a bank and get funding. Don't go when you are looking for funding. Go into that bank and begin to develop a relationship, or to that investor, begin to develop it. Get their criteria and begin to build your business. Work with the end in mind. Begin to build your business around the criteria that the institution will be asking for at the point when you require funding. So this is an issue of planning. A lot of times we do not plan this funding request. We just go, when we get the funding requirements, that's when we go and approach the financial institution. It takes time. So get a list, I would say visit a bank when you're not desperate for funding and begin to work towards their checklist. They usually have a checklist. Work towards them, work with your relationship officer to ensure that you begin to build your business around the things that the requirements, the funders are looking for. So that's a very practical way, preparing yourself for funding. It's like a mock trial, a test and retest approach.
Very well said. Very valuable advice. No doubt listeners have learned a lot so far. And as we close out today, we just always like to give our guests the opportunity to provide some closing tips. So in your view, what would be the top 3 business tips that you would like to leave with entrepreneurs today?
No matter how large the opportunity, start small. Size you can manage. Risk you can accommodate. Think global and then act very fast.
All right.
So start small, think big and global, and then act fast. I think we summarize my tips for them.
I really like that. And I really like the third point about starting fast. It is something that I guess it's situational and we need to know what that means for each business, but it's certainly something to think about.
When I mean act fast, in other words, when you've decided on anything to execute, don't procrastinate.
More so because the markets continue to evolve. Because what you thought was a good idea 6 months ago, as COVID has taught us, perhaps.
Yeah, if you fail, it gives you an opportunity to restart. So once you've decided, you've thought out your plan, just act. If it doesn't work, you restart. It gives you multiple opportunities to try again.
Got it. And I thank you so much for your time. And on that note, we'll wrap up this edition of Build Your Own Business, brought to you by Ose. Thank you so much for your time. We look forward to having you again on our next program.
This is Build Your Own Business, powered
by Ose. Make money with Ose.